Okay, well, it's just past 12 o'clock here in California, so let's go ahead and begin. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining in today's webinar. My name is Paul Nishihira. I'm an applications engineer with GoEngineer and based out of the Northern California area. So in today's webinar, we're going to focus in on pretty much all SOLIDWORKS features. And it's going to be a combination of what is taught in the SOLIDWORKS Essentials class, as well as the SOLIDWORKS Advanced class. And we'll also talk about some GoEngineer services and more specifically on the online training, and given the recent conditions that we are all in. And then, of course, interaction between myself and everyone in attendance via the Q&A box. So if you do have any questions, I'll try to do my best to monitor it and answer them as best as possible. The other thing as well, if you do have another question after the webinar is over, my email address is located on the lower left portion of the slide screen there. So again, just feel free to reach out to me and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is our training services. So whether you use Google or DuckDuckGo or Yahoo or whatever any of the search engines, and you type in GoEngineer training, it'll take you over here to our website, and you're going to notice that we have a pretty diverse set of subjects that we train, and they are all taught by trainers, certified trainers, as well as field engineers and even individuals in tech support. But the biggest thing is that they all are certified for training inside of the SOLIDWORKS realm. So you do have multiple subjects anywhere from standard SOLIDWORKS courses to sheet metal, simulation. There's even courses for data management. So if any of you are interested in the data migration or using any of the PDM services, we do offer that as well. Now, the neat thing about this is that, and again, this is kind of due to the current conditions that we're in, all of our classes, at least through the end of this year, are online. But the nice thing about it is that they are either instructor-led or they are self-paced. And of course, they cover the standard courses that you see here, but we can also customize the courses as well. So if you wanted to do, as an example, maybe a design and manufacturing class where there's a little bit of SOLIDWORKS design, and then from there it goes into CNC programming using SOLIDWORKS CAM or CAMWorks, we can definitely customize the classes for that. And the great thing about all of the classes is that there is technical support available. So if you get into a situation where something's not quite making sense, or maybe there's just a general question that you have on the training content, we do have our full technical support team available for each class available. So on to fillets. Okay, so what are they? Well, it's just a fancy name for creating a rounded corner or a rounded edge by either adding volume or removing volume on the given part feature. And you do have some diversity available. So you can create them from a sketch, and this is what they use the term sketch-driven feature. Or for this webinar, we are actually going to be using this as a applied feature, meaning that we have our solid part, and then it's just a matter of either adding or removing the volume material to create that particular fillet feature. So why do we need to use them? Well, there's a couple of reasons. Number one is on the design phase. It's a transitional blend from one face or feature to another. The other one is to provide an edge break in manufacturing. So nobody likes to have sharp corners on their parts. So again, fillets are a great example of use for manufacturing type features. And then another application would be to minimize or reduce stress concentration in a specific area. So if we had a sharp corner down in that particular area of the part, and if there was a load in that area, it would create undue stress and then, of course, ultimate failure in that particular area of the part. Now, as far as fillets in themselves, you're going to notice that we have a lot of different settings, a lot of different parameters and options within each type of fillet. And although I'm not going to go through all of them just because in the context of the 30 minutes here, I am going to go through some of the ones that I find useful on a day-to-day basis and also that they are some of my favorites as well. So let's go ahead and jump into SolidWorks and we'll talk about some of the different options available to us here. So for this first particular model, what I'd like to do is up over here on the Features tab and in the Command Manager, we are able to access the Fillet Command here. Another way to do it is I just mapped it to my mouse gestures and then right up to my shortcut. So I'll just go ahead and create a fillet. And then traditionally, most people will be using the constant size fillet right here. I also like to have these particular options available, the show selection toolbar, tangent propagation, and the full preview. And the nice thing about having these options turned on is that it will help you be more efficient as far as picking and making your selections and seeing what's available if you have any particular like edges. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and just add our fillets. Now, if you recall, like in just at the beginning of this webinar, I had mentioned about the adding volume and removing volume when you do add fillet features. So for this internal fillet right here, you can see that I am adding in some additional volume to the particular model. And then of course the edge out here, it's going to be removing volume because we're rounding off the edges, okay? So if I were to go ahead and accept those parameters, you know, we have our given fillet feature right there. Now, some other things that you can do, let me go ahead and I'll create just another fillet right here, is under the fillet parameters down over here, you do have two choices between symmetric and asymmetric. So this is telling you how the fillet is defined under fillet parameters. And then of course, just below that, under the profile, what this indicates is the cross-section of the fillets, or the cross-section of the shape, I should say, of the fillets. So you can have, traditionally would be set to circular, but you do have things such as conic row, conic radius, and even curvature continuous. Okay, so again, just a lot of different options for the design intent that you want to have. Okay, so as an example, if I do asymmetric and then maybe go like 1/2 inch by 0.250, and then we'll go ahead and just pick that edge. You can see that we have that asymmetric fillet. The other nice thing is that some people like to use the on-screen tags to make the changes. So if you wanted to change it to a different value, maybe like 375 by 0.125, you know, you can go ahead and do that as well. It also offers you the flexibility to change by using the famous reverse directions. So if you wanted to change it from uh, one location to another, you're able to do that. Okay, so again, just a lot of different options to play around with. So I did want to show you some other cool things. Again, you know, this is just a standard model. There's nothing really too special about it. But if we go to symmetric, and down over here, kind of towards the bottom, you do have partial edge parameters. So what this indicates is that you can actually create a partial fillet. So, you know, in manufacturing, when you get up to a sharp corner, like in this area right here, you know, chances are you won't be able to get a particular machining tool, like a chamfer mill, right up to the corner because the body of the diameter of the tool is going to hit this one edge. So using the colors, so there's like this purple circle and then the green circle over here, you can actually specify the edge or the offset distance condition. So let's say I wanted to maybe offset it back by like 1/2 inch. And then once you have that set, we'll go ahead and hit the green check mark, and then you have a partial fillet. So the other nice thing, I actually just mentioned that previously, is that if you wanted to go back into your fillet feature, you are able to toggle it to a chamfer type. Okay, and then of course put in the given values down over here if need be. And then again, just with a simple few mouse clicks, you're able to change it from one type of feature to another type of feature. But here again, we're all going to be talking about fillets, so I'll focus in on the fillet function for today. This is actually another of my favorites right here. So this particular model that we're looking at is going to give us the option to, of course, create our traditional fillets. So let's go ahead and put in a couple of values here. And then I'll just pick these edges. Okay, so as expected, SOLIDWORKS is going to go ahead and generate these fillet features for us. Okay. Now there's usually with some designs, you do want to have a multiple fillets, and then trying to individually create them and mesh them together, it tends to just be an overcomplicated process. But inside of the options dialog, you have something called Multiradius Fillet down over here. So when you click on that, you're going to get some additional on-screen tags that pop up here, and you can just say, well, maybe I want to have that leading edge at like 12.5 as an example. Then I'll go ahead and hit tab, and then you can see it update. And the nice thing about it is that it's also taking into consideration these existing 50 millimeter fillet values over around the edge, as well. So it's not like you have to go back in after the fact and figure out, what fillet to put in first and what, what's going to be of order of importance. In addition to that, you do have the setback parameters right here. So the way this works is it's just a matter of picking in your setback vertice and then just put in the appropriate value. So we'll just go ahead and put in a couple values here. Okay. And then we can do the same thing as well to the other side. So basically any three edges that are coming or joining together to a common vertice point, you can go ahead and apply this setback parameter. Okay. All right, and then you have something like this. Okay. So again, a lot of flexibility as far as adding in different multi-radius values, as well as using vertice points to drive the point of where the fillet is transitioning. Just as a side note, you are able to clean up these surface artifacts, basically these little patches of surfaces here. So if you do a delete face, and then we'll do a delete and fill tangent. Okay, so what that does, it just takes away that face, and it'll go ahead and replace it with a nice smooth tangent surface. Okay, we'll go ahead and let it generate there. So then you have just a nice blended transition on that one corner. Okay, and then you can do the same thing here as well on the other side. So again, delete face, and then delete and fill, and then we're going to do a tangency fill right up over here. Okay, the selection manager, that's this series of icons that pops up here. So again, it's just nice having that additional selection method to utilize. Okay, just minimizes the extra mouse clicking that you have. So CS Keep Features, this is actually kind of cool as well. And you can think of it as incorporating it into your design intent. So here again, we'll go ahead and add another fillet feature. And let's go ahead and click on that right here. Okay. And I'll just make it a little bit bigger than the default, or we'll go like maybe like 11 millimeters. So you can see from the preview that it envelops this existing feature. It says cut extrude. Now, way down here at the very bottom, okay, under Fillet Options, okay, right over here, you have something called Keep Features. So uncheck that Keep Feature right there. That's going to update the preview, which is this right over here. And then it'll go ahead and not only suppress that particular hole feature, but keep the main fillet feature here as well. So again, it's just one option to be aware of, if that's your design intent. Okay, another cool thing that you can do, and this is more from a machining standpoint. So again, I'll just add in another traditional fillet here. And let's see, we'll make this at 5 millimeters. Okay, and then as expected, as I'm chaining around, and if you notice that I didn't rotate the model, I'm actually looking through. So this particular function right here, this is called select through faces. And again, that's way down here at the bottom. And then this check mark right here. It's typically on by default, but every now and then I've noticed that the property manager does turn it off. But it just prevents you from rotating the model back and forth. You can just kind of look through the whole part. Okay. So as expected, when I picked those 3 edges, this is the fillet that I have. But let's say for manufacturing purposes, I wanted to maybe round these transitional corners out. So you can actually do that by going back into the property manager of that fillet. And another checkbox under Fillet Options, way down here at the very bottom, you have something called Round Corners. And you can actually see what's happening when you check or uncheck that particular option there. And then there you go. Kind of think of it as if you have like a ball bearing and then you make a surface contact and you're essentially just rolling it all the way around. This is the net result that you're getting. All these fillets right here. Just a nice smooth transition going all the way around. We'll go ahead and talk about variable size fillets. Okay. So what a variable size fillet is, it creates a fillet or a round which can change in size along selected edges. So we'll go ahead and activate that function. Now it is another icon that you do have to activate first up here at the very top under fillet type. So if you click on variable size and then just pick on this edge. Okay, and what's going to happen is that you're going to have a series of on-screen tags pop up as well as control points out over here. Okay, those control points are controlled by the number of instances, so you can increase it or you can decrease it as well. So let's go ahead and enter in a value here. We'll just go like 10 millimeters, and let's say that we want to have it vary as it tapers in up to 30. Okay, you can see that SOLIDWORKS is pretty much going to take care of everything for us. Okay. Now the other nice thing is that if you do want to maybe maintain the 30 millimeter from the last known point to maybe this control point right here, it's just a matter of selecting on that and then just specify the radius value. Okay, so we can go 30 there as well. Okay. Another neat feature that you can also do is rather than adding in the number of instances, if you wanted to add in maybe just an individual control point, it's just a matter of hovering over a specific one and then hold down the control key and then drag it. And then now you have another control point available. So again, depending on design intent, you do have that flexibility to add that additional control point. And then, of course, to delete it, it's just a matter of right-clicking on it. All right, so one last thing before we go away from the variable size fillet is that under, and then I'm just going to go ahead and just make a minor change right here. Okay, so under this profile, it's currently set to circular. if I wanted to do like a conic radius, okay, so what I'll do is, let's say I wanted to have a conic radius value. So go ahead and make this at 10, and then this one at 10 as well. There we go. And you can see that even though we have, in addition to a variable size fillet, we also have an additional fillet value also applied as well. So again, a lot of flexibilities to be aware of when you're using the variable fillet. Okay, for this next one, this is actually a great application for individuals who want to use curvature continuous. So um, much like how you can drive it when you're creating splines at the sketch level, if you ever run into situations where the tangent continuity between the default fillet and the adjacent face creates like a noticeable break, and I'll go ahead and generate one fillet just to show you. You can use a curvature continuous function. Okay, so again, we'll just go ahead and create another fillet. And this time I'm going to be using a face fillet up over here with, we'll make a radius of 4. And then I'll just go ahead and pick that face and then the top face right here. Okay. All right, so as expected, you know, we have our fillet feature. And I'll do the same thing to the bottom as well, but this time I'm actually going to use curvature continuous. So again, same process, just pick one face and then toggle over to the next field, pick the other face. And then under profile, I'm going to go ahead and use curvature continuous. Okay, with the same radius value. Now, at first glance, you're probably not going to see any difference on the model, but if you go to the Evaluate tab and under Curvature, you can see the meshing of the colors right here. So that's uh, that noticeable break that I was talking about. So, you know, the first one we did, you can see an abrupt color change right at the edge where it makes that transition. And then on the curvature continuous side, you can see just a nicer shaping or blending of the fillet feature to each given model face. And it looks like we're coming up on the half-hour mark. So I'm going to show you this is the one that I really enjoy. And um, one thing you've noticed with fillets is that, especially if you're putting in multiple sizes or you're changing things or you're removing, you know, it'd be nice to go ahead and have just one command function that takes care of all of that. So inside of that, that is called Fillet Expert. Okay, so we'll go ahead and click on that. And these are the 3 tabs that I was just mentioning earlier. So you can add, change, and even use a corner function, which is basically where you have 3 edges come into a corner. Okay, so for this first one, I'll go ahead and apply my first fillet value. Okay. And then I'll use the selection manager here. Okay, automatically populates the items to fillet, and then it's just a matter of hitting apply. And then the next thing we're going to do is, well, we'll put in like 1 millimeter here. Okay, same thing. Let's see, I want to use 288 edges. Okay, so again, imagine trying to pick that every single time. You know, just let the selection manager do that. And once it's highlighted, just hit apply and then let it update. Now keep in mind that you are still inside of the Fillet Expert command. We haven't accepted anything to make things official. So again, this is just one of those nice things that you can do as far as doing multiple functions inside of the Fillet tool. Another thing that you can do is the change feature. So let's say that I want to maybe change this internal feature right here to 6 millimeters. Well, it's just a matter of putting in the value, clicking on the feature, and then clicking on resize. Okay, and then SOLIDWORKS will go ahead and do the magic for you. Now, in addition to that, if I wanted to come over here to the opposite side, and then maybe pick that face and then use my selection manager, and I want to remove it. Maybe I want to have a sharp edge over there. So I'll just go ahead and click on remove. And then again, SOLIDWORKS will go ahead and update the model geometry so I have that desired feature. And then of course, when we're done, we can just hit OK. And SOLIDWORKS will go ahead and add in those particular values, the 4 millimeter, the 1 millimeter, as well as the resized 6 millimeter. I know we're coming up on the half an hour here, and I do want to leave some time for Q&A. Some final thoughts. So because I've been asked this a lot of times when people are creating fillets and even chamfers for that matter, generally speaking, these are some tips and tricks that I find useful as far as creating fillets and chamfers at the end. If at all possible, use the same radius value within the same command. And of course, more recently, it's one of the nice enhancements is using existing fillets that can be converted to chamfers. And it can also go vice versa as well. Well, everybody, I do appreciate your time. And again, I will be cleaning up this webinar session and then to make it a little bit cleaner. So if you'd like to email me directly, I can send you the copy. It will be posted to YouTube, and it'll definitely have a lot more better resolution. I apologize for that. So having that said, everyone have a great day and have a great weekend as well. All right, take care.